Hell yeah, guys. What is happening? The Capitalist here with Dota Live Net, and today we're going to be casting the ESL Easter Cup. We had a little bit of delay. The admin wanted to delay the semifinals and the finals because it was getting kind of late. So now we're finally getting to that. Unfortunately, we missed out on the other bracket of the semifinals. That game went on. I think the key teams just, they found a time, they played each other, and not really letting anybody know. But this time, we got Replika versus 404 Not Found. We're going to have this bracket at the semifinals, and then right after this, I believe we're going to have the finals as well. But before I get into this game, I'm going to give a real quick shout out to my streamer, Holy for the Win. If you guys want to say hello to him in the little chat there. And then, of course, my lovely co-caster, Hari. Hari, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. It's good to finally get to see this game, even if it was a little bit delayed. And I was just chuckling to myself from the player's name, Run Noobs Run.
Yeah, yeah. I think I recognize that name. I think I might have played him in a pub recently, or maybe it was a scrim recently. But they've also got an interesting team name, 404 Not Found. A little bit of a trollish name because I was looking at it, I was like, wait, is that just a mistake? Because all it said was Not Found, and I was like, wait, is that the team's name, or just the website's fucking up and I can't seem to, And I was just like, oh god, what's happening?
Yeah, I could see how that would be annoying. It's a little bit clever of them to do something like that, and we'll see if they can do something equally clever in the banning and picking phase. Like that segue?
Oh, I love that transition. Very good. All right, well, we got banning out Tidehunter, Chen, and Windrunner already for 404. And then over on the Replica side, they're banning out the more traditional heavy OP carry heroes, Invoker and Lycan. And we still have a couple heroes left out. What do you think about the, I don't know, some heroes, Chen is just sort of one of those heroes you just like, you either see him banned, or you just, some teams don't pick him up at all. It's just, a lot of teams, it's just their flavor. Is just, they really hate Chen, or they really love Chen. And they either pick him up, or they just leave him out there, and just nobody, he just goes through a whole entire banning phase, not being picked whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know. We watched Replica going through the earlier brackets of the tournament, and they actually didn't. I think maybe they played Chen once, but in at least one of their games, Chen was neither picked nor banned. So I'm not sure it was complete necessity to ban the Chen there, but I guess it kind of looks like maybe they want to go for push with Leshrac, so it could have been a good ban anyway. What's much more interesting to me is the decision to ban Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain has been getting a lot more popular lately, really picking up steam, but still, I don't know that it was that likely that this other team, 404 Not Found, it's going to be tough to call them that. I guess 404, but I'm really just going to call them this other team. Would have first picked Queen of Pain, because that's a pretty unusual first pick, and to give him Furion instead is just a little strange. I mean, if you were that worried about Queen of Pain, maybe you would just take it with one of your first two picks, which is a little bit more reasonable. But maybe they just know something about 404 that I don't. I obviously don't know really anything about them, so maybe they have really strong Queen of Pain play. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, Leshrac is another hero who's been picking up a lot of steam as well. Two of those are both kind of squishy heroes, squishy glass cannon style heroes. But you're right, Queen of Pain has been picking up a lot of it, and I guess people are just realizing how strong that Q is during the laning phase. You just absolutely crush the opponent. It does so much damage early on. You're able to get really good harassment because of it, and a lot of times when you hit somebody, an opponent with it, they usually just have to run away, and then they take a lot of harassment damage, just nuts. But Leshrac is another hero, and maybe what they were thinking was banning out maybe not a necessarily first ban hero, and leaving out taking taking the choice to basically leave out Nature's Prophet in order to pick up Shadow Demon and Leshrac, or say they picked up Shadow Demon and then they would get Nature's Prophet and Leshrac was what they were hoping. But I don't know, maybe they think that Leshrac is that strong, he's really a first pick now. Honestly, it wasn't like a week and a half ago where he was more of a 4 or 5 picks. Game goes with Queen of Pain, but I don't know, that's just how quickly the meta game of Dota 2 can change. It's just, and Tinker, another hero, is just, what is with this? All these new heroes just picking up steam left and right. We're gonna see Venomancer and Tinker being picked up by 404, and then Sand King for the final first set of bans for Replica. What do you think about the lineup so far, Hari?
Well, it looks like they want. I mean, the Tinker's proven himself as a really effective counter push hero, and I mean, Venomancer kind of the same thing. It's a little interesting because, generally speaking, I don't know, when you have Furion, you're kind of usually looking to push more, but Furion is also obviously a very strong counter push. So maybe they were just afraid of the Leshrac and they wanted to pick up the Tinker to stop it. At the same time, obviously, having Tinker and Furion on the same team gives you a lot of global presence, so maybe they're hoping for that combo to really turn ganks and fights around in the mid game. At the same time, actually, I want to talk about the Shadow Demon for a little bit. Replika, I remember earlier in the tournament when we watched them, actually, CryAsia played an amazing Shadow Demon. He had solo top, and I'm not sure if you remember, but he absolutely took over the game, went around ganking. I'm not sure if they'll put him in the solo side lane this time, or whether he'll actually just go mid. He'll be really strong against Tinker, actually. I don't know if the Tinker matchup will be that favorable, so that's one thing I would question with that pick for 404. I mean, then again, there's really not anything that's a favorable matchup against Shadow Demon in the mid.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we're going to see Broodmother and Shadow Shaman being banned out for 404, getting out those strong push heroes out of the way, especially if they're going to pick up a Furion. It'd be really annoying if there was a Broodmother on the other side. And then heavy carries Riki and Animage being banned out by Sand King. And yeah, I mean, with Tinker being picked up, all I can see is just they have a lot of global versatility. They're just going to be able to bounce around. But like you were talking about Shadow Demon, I think I agree. I think we're going to see him in a solo lane potentially just because CryAsia did so well with him. And that's what a lot of teams, that's why Shadow Demon is so good, is because he has the versatility. It's why he's able to be first pick, because he doesn't lock you in. He can also be a support hero if the big picks and ban go in a certain way where you want some other solo and you want Shadow Demon to be in a support role, that's perfectly fine. He does a great job there as well. And man, we're seeing not a whole lot of supports here, so maybe we are going to see Shadow Demon being picked up. I've also seen Leshrac being run as a support, which I'm just... a couple teams, I don't know if it's just American craziness, but running Leshrac as a support hero, I don't know. I just hate it. Every single time I see it, I just want to cringe and bash somebody over the head. But personally, I really hate it. But Beastmaster and now Darkseer being picked up. Ah, man. What do you think about Darkseer being picked up?
I don't know. Darkseer is kind of a hero that varies team by team how much they estimate his ability to impact the game at this point after the nerf to Aghanims on him. So I don't know. I mean, it just kind of depends. Maybe, I mean, he's a pretty good turtle hero, so it's possible they are a little bit afraid of the push coming out from Fury and Venomancer, and kind of Beastmaster is an early aggressive hero as well. So I don't know. Maybe they just wanted that. Also, yeah, the Brood ban makes a lot of sense since Replika already had picked up Sand King. Without Sand King to counter Brood left in the pool, it'd be very easy for Replika to pick up the Brood, which would be a problem for them. But they do end up taking the Earthshaker, so they are going to rely completely on the Tinker's carrying ability. Well, Tinker and kind of Furion. Kind of a little bit unusual here. With a Beastmaster, you would have normally expected to see Vengeful Spirit instead of Venomancer. If they knew they were going to go for the Beastmaster, I kind of would have expected VS. Obviously, just because it gives you that aura stacking ability. But then again, if you're going for, you know, an int carry like Tinker who doesn't really do any right-click damage, it makes sense in the end. I don't know. Slightly unusual picks, as well as the Earthshaker. Earthshaker not quite as common unless you have some sort of a combo with it, but I guess the relying on, you know, the Darkseer wall creates a lot of illusions, and if Storm or Earthshaker can blink in on top of that and ult, it's going to do a ton of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing I see for 404 to look out for is just they have to have really good spacing in these team fights, because right now you're talking about Darkseer lining up with a Sand King, Leshrac. I mean, just that combo alone, if they can get just 2 or 3 heroes, they're just absolutely going to wipe those 2 or 3 heroes off the map immediately with this huge amount of nuking power that they have, and then the rest is going to be picked off by Storm Spirit. So every single time, if they're able to get the initiation, I think these fights will go really well for 404. Otherwise, if they get initiated on, they don't have very good movement, don't have very good spacing, they're just going to get crushed in all these team fights very, very quickly. But I suppose with this sort of global strat where you've got both Furion and Tinker, they're going to be able to push side lanes and put a lot of pressure and hopefully free up a lot of farm for this Earthshaker. I think him getting a very fast Blink Dagger is going to be really important. Especially in the lanes that first thing I'm seeing is a Suicide Lane Beastmaster, and it looks like they're going to have Furion jungling here. And wait, actually, Earthshaker is going to be bottom with Tinker. A little bit interesting. They're going to have Venomancer running solo mid versus the Storm Spirit as opposed to Tinker, which really I would usually give at least a decent advantage to Tinker in a 1v1 against Storm Spirit, especially if he's going to be going for the typical max Martian machines, get runes, and that's sort of the way you sort of push back and get a lot of farm really quickly. It's a build that I've been seeing a lot recently, especially from North American teams.
Yeah, one thing I kind of noticed about the Radiance lineup here, they're really lacking on stuns. I mean, they have the Earthshaker who can do a lot of stun, but that's basically it, and then just the Beastmaster ult. So they're not only, I mean, and, you know, it's not completely uncommon that teams lack stuns, but they're lacking stuns and really any sort of disables. I mean, other than that, they really don't have anything. They have kind of Sprout and a little bit of Slow from Venomancer, but that's it. So they're really going to rely heavily on Tinker getting the early burst damage, being able to teleport around. So I'm not sure they will go March Machines build, but maybe more likely, 4-4 laser and heat seeking, hoping by putting him in the bottom lane like this rather than the mid that he'll farm well enough that he can have the early boots of travel and basically be everywhere, which is more important to them, given the kind of weaknesses in their lineup compared to the Dire, who have tons of disable, and yeah, I don't know, in that regard it's going to be more difficult. It looks like actually they might be, I don't know, supporting, is it Furion going to be going mid with Veno in support? This is a bit unusual.
All I can say is all about this is really unusual. I think maybe he's just blocking until the 30-second mark, and I have no idea what's going on. Now he's middle and Venomancer is supporting him. I'm not sure entirely what's going on with this whole middle. Right off the bat, it was like Suicide, Beastmaster, okay, good to go. And they didn't pick up... yeah, it's just all around this is really weird. But Darkseer is now jumping on Venomancer. He's doing a little bit of damage with that Ion Shell. Venomancer's not going to go down anytime soon, but Furion can definitely come in and do some serious harassment. It's not like Darkseer has any trees to cut himself out, but unfortunately, going Nature's Call, he's not yet level 2, so he wasn't able to trap the Darkseer in. But at bottom, we're going to see an Earthshaker and Tinker versus Leshrac and Sandking. And I absolutely agree, especially if they're going to be running Tinker at bottom with a babysitter of Earthshaker. I think they're definitely going to have to max out those nukes. Because there's really, you're sort of guaranteeing a little bit of farm right off the bat. And March Machines is only really a solo mid build. And then at top, we're going to see Shadow Demon versus Beastmaster, and that's definitely going to be a lot of pain for Beastmaster, especially for Ayesha's Shadow Demon is definitely very, very strong. And on top of that, Shadow Demon versus any melee is going to be very, very hard, at least up until if Beastmaster hits level 5 and is able to do a little bit of work with the boar. That's really the only hope for his lane right now.
Yeah, even then, I don't know, it's going to be quite difficult. And at the same time, Replika has, I think, a stronger bottom lane as well. With the dual stun, even without Darkseer around, still 2 versus 2, they have a much better chance of actually being able to get kills, I think, than 404's lane does bottom. So I don't know, I think these lanes aren't very well set up by 404, to be perfectly honest. I think Storm won't necessarily have too much difficulty against this, I guess, dual lane is what you would call it, mid. And meanwhile, Darkseer is transitioning up to the top jungle because he had no possibility of farming the bottom. I guess that's what the Venomancer was doing down there, just kind of hanging around, preventing Darkseer from taking that weak camp. So Darkseer is going to be far behind, but like I said, I think that it's well worth it for the 2 lanes that you're going to have in such strong fashion. And yeah, Earthshaker actually doing a little bit of pulling here bottom. Sandking's going to discover it, and once that, I guess, yeah, they actually opted to ward behind the tower right away rather than ward the pull spot. I guess since they had the Darkseer in the jungle, that made sense at the time, although now without the Darkseer there, it's going to be a little bit more risky. Actually going to go, but yeah, not actually anything going to come of it. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is a good start for Replika. I mean, if you take a look at the gold graph, obviously gold graph at this point in the game not meaning too much, but a 500 advantage, even though their jungling hero has been completely shut down. Oh, and missed first blood stop.
Well, that's definitely going to give even more of a jump to the Dire. That's just huge. I mean, Shadow Demon is going to be, now he's level 5. Beastmaster's level 3. He's going to be coming back in the lane. I mean, the only silver lining to that is now Shadow Demon has no mana to really just be able to spam down this Beastmaster. But it's kind of expected. You really shouldn't die in this lane, but it is very, very hard. You have to sit very far back and not really get any CS whatsoever. You maybe boar CSing and get as much experience as possible in this 1v1 lane for Beastmaster. And I mean, really, that's just rough, and I agree. Replika has really strong lanes, and I don't think really the only lane that should be winning right now is middle. They just, I don't know, jumping on that Darkseer really put him behind because he wasn't there to harass Storm Spirit, keep him out of experienced lane in the very beginning, and now he's a high enough level that he's able to stand up against Venomancer. If he ever tries to go in front of the Creep Wave and challenge Storm Spirit's just going to laugh in his face and do just as much damage back and potentially kill him. And giving that natural experience advantage and CS advantage to Furion just isn't working because of that, and they're not going to see any fast teleports, any of that sort of thing. I really expected Venomancer to just try and shut down Storm Spirit, and then have this Furion go and try and gank as soon as possible, and just have Venomancer be able to pick up the solo experience from mid. But now it looks like he might be able to pick up this Darkseer kill. He does pick up an invis, and there were no wards whatsoever, so if he hits the Gale here, unfortunately, Darkseer does have a level of surge, which is to be expected. There it goes. Furion is now teleporting in. Can he get it? He gets the tree up, and there is no tangos for this Darkseer. So they're going to be able to pick up that kill. Nice little pickup. On top of that, a buyback from Darkseer. He's not too happy. Of course, it is a very cheap buyback. It was probably only 150 gold, I'm guessing, at 4.5 minutes in at that low level. Probably not too much gold, but still a huge loss for this Darkseer. He's definitely not feeling his normal jungle right now.
Yeah, that was actually something that brought up a point that I had wanted to make a little bit ago. Actually, the Storm Spirit and the Darkseer, I mean, obviously we saw earlier on the Darkseer had no tangos, and the Storm Spirit doesn't as well, and I really don't like this, especially since he was in the mid against the Furion dual lane. I think he should have couriered himself tangos right away so he could have got out of that. Actually going to go on bottom. The dual stun is going to land on Earthshaker, and Darkseer has come down there, so the Ion Shell is probably going to be enough, surging up the Earthshaker. Leshrac is actually going to go down from the return damage from Tinker, so Tinker doing a good job standing his ground there and picking up a return kill on the Leshrac. So 1-for-1 trade in the bottom. I would have expected that to go a little bit better for the Radiant, but actually we do have 2 points on March of the Machines now, so I guess opting to go for that build anyway. And actually we do have a disconnect from Furion. So I can finish talking about what I was saying, which is, yeah, I think the Storm definitely should have brought himself tangos. I mean, he probably figures, I'll get level 6 quick enough, I don't need to worry about getting sprouted and caught, but it's really not worth it. And especially for the Darkseer, who, I mean, if there's any chance that they get vision of him in the jungle, if they'd placed a ward in there or anything, I mean, he shouldn't have expected a ward since he was in the bottom jungle originally and they were trying to counter that. But just, he relies on that Surge to get away, but until he has Vacuum, which is usually at level 4, the Surge isn't going to do anything if he gets sprouted, and that was what cost him his life. So really no reason not to make sure you don't have a set of tangos on all heroes when you're playing against Furion.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's another thing is Darkseer jungle. I mean, it's okay, but really the big Darkseer jungle strategy is picking up that smoke, and that's not what he's doing. If you guys don't know, it's you pick up the smoke and you stack. What you do is you take the easy camp, especially if you're in the Dire. The Dire is the best thing for Darkseer. He takes easy camps, he takes that other creep camp, the medium creep camp down there, and he just keeps stacking that over and over and over until he gets a 4 stack. He pops smoke, he pops Ion Shell, and he should be level 3 or 4 depending on how that medium camp is, and he'll be able to just boost his form exponentially because he'll just crush a 4 stack of hard creeps. And by the time, like, I've had it where if you get really good creep stacks, if you're able to get if you don't get golems in that medium camp and you're on the Dire side, you're able to hit level 6 before anyone else in the game. It's really strong, but it looks like we're seeing Furion teleporting top. He's going to jump on that Shadow Demon. The question is, can Shadow Demon get out? He tries to disrupt himself in order to get a little bit of advantage, but he's definitely going to go down here, especially with Beastmaster level 6. Popping that ultimate, not wanting any sort of nonsense coming out from that Shadow Demon. So a nice little pickup, but still 3 heroes top. For that. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit is just able to free farm. He's looking for the rune now, which is going to be a bottom regen on Storm Spirit, and he is level 6. That's just so nice for a Storm Spirit. But they are going to at least be able to push the lane top.
Yeah, they should, I would assume, be able to take this tower. Furion does have at least 2 levels in Nature's Call, which should provide, I think, enough creeps. The only one heading up here right now is Cryasia again. He does have some good counter push with Shadow Poison, but at the same time, well, I guess he doesn't really have too much to be worried about. Actually, the Venomancer doesn't even have quite enough mana for a Gale. He will eventually. I don't know if he gets enough stacks up quickly, but no, it looks like the tower is going to go down like I thought it would, and there's not going to be anything he can do about it. So I don't know. I feel like maybe they could have had a TP up there. The Darkseer probably not doing anything in the jungle. Even with just 1 Iron Shell on the trees or something, it would have maybe been enough to save that tower, but I don't know. I guess they just considered it gone. It's always a bit risky losing those early tier 1 towers when you have a jungle hero, because now they're not going to have half as much vision as they did of the Radiant coming into the jungle, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for Darkseer. Fortunately, yeah, well, not fortunately in general, but fortunately in this regard, he isn't doing the stacking strategy, because I have been on the receiving end once of, doing that strategy. You're smoked up and suddenly you go visible and you're like, oh shit. And
yeah, that is definitely a huge fall from that strategy. It's just better teams will know what you're doing and counter it very well. It looks like Beastmaster is going to jump on, but Venomancer was just hiding in the side here, and they might be able to pick up this Shadow Demon kill. The slow goes off, the axes come out, and they're definitely going to be able to pick up this kill, but the question is, Darkseer, can he pick up the Beastmaster? The Purge is already went off, and all that's left is a level of poison. Huge ward by that Venomancer, blocking out the Darkseer. Furion teleporting in, he's going to be able to pick up the Darkseer kill now, and this is just a huge turnaround. Replika hugely, not even lose, just losing top tier 1, and then on top of that, losing a huge team fight. Bottom isn't going nearly as well as we both expected, and actually Leshrac is getting jumped on here. He might actually go down. Rockets, though, are only level 2, not going to be enough to pop him. He does actually max March of the Machines all the way. I was expecting from his build, because typically what you do is you 1-1-4, and then you max out rockets from there. And I was thinking maybe he was just going to get 2 levels of it and then max out rockets. I don't know. It's just really weird build from this Tinker, maxing out March of the Machines in the side lane. But Earthshaker is allowing him to get all of the experience pretty much. He's only coming in when he needs to try and hit a stun. So it is working out decently. He's getting relatively fast levels, and he is getting really good gold.
He has boots,
right now,
actually.
He has
his travels done.
Oh man, that is just so rough. Replika is going so far behind, but actually Sand King is now jumping on this Venomancer. He does have double damage, miss stun, and now the axes come out and Replika is done for. Sand King needs to be able to get out. Can he stun over the cliff? He actually hits a 3-stun. He's going to jump on this Venomancer, but he doesn't pick up the kill. One more poison, can it hit? Shadow Demon completely missing out on that one, and now he's in huge trouble. Stun coming out from the Earthshaker. Can he hit a block or just a stun actually? A couple more hits, and that's going to be a Storm Spirit coming in. He might be able to pick up this Beastmaster kill, something, anything in return, but now he has no mana. He has to jump over the cliff. This is just so bad for Replika. Everything's going wrong for them. Leshrac teleporting back in, but there's 3 heroes and a whole bunch of creeps with a Edict build. You can't really pop a hero like that, so man, just Replika is just suffering left and right. What we both thought was a really good start for them and really good lanes is just, I don't know, it's just individual play and some nice really moves by 404. It's just completely turned this game around. 2,000 lead now for the Radiant.
Yeah, so far it's been nice movement from 404, and it's been just the Furion pick. I mean, the fact that Furion in the early game is basically +1 to every fight has really made a difference. And obviously, yeah, I mean, I don't think we were wrong about the lanes or the early setup. I mean, the gold advantage did favor Replika up until basically 404 started using the Furion to its fullest and getting those early ganks on, and just kind of Replika made a few misplays with their double stun lane bottom, etc., which is always risky. I mean, the double stun lane in the long lane is good because it can shut someone down. Speaking of double stun, there is going to be a dead Furion here. Actually, Earthshaker stun's going to come out, but yeah, it's not going to be enough. Unfortunately, the Leshrac, no, actually, he's just barely able to sneak by, but Beastmaster is waiting on the other side, and with those max level axes, he's going to quickly melt the Leshrac. So, yeah, I don't know, a 1-for-1 trade in the middle. I thought that would be a good turn of events for Replika, but it wasn't really amazing. I mean, taking down the Furion, who was the solo mid for the Leshrac, probably worth it, but not amazing, and they're going to need to get more than that because this Tinker does have his travels. Although, yeah, he actually, if you notice, he TP'd mid, and then he has to run back to base because without a Soul Ring or bottle, he wasn't able to regen his mana. But now he has the Soul Ring up, and I really do love that Soul Ring build. I mean, it wasn't very popular at first, but more people have seen it, and it's just becoming more and more popular. Personally, I lack the requested skill to pull it off, but I'm always happy to see someone else be able to.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have to say, I like this Beastmaster's build where he didn't go the boar at all in the lane, which obviously was a huge damper in that lane. One-on-one without a boar is so tough, but he just tried to sit back. He gave away first blood. But besides that, he maxed out his nukes, and he's just able to do a lot of work in these team fights, but also push really well because he has a now level 2 in Inner Beast. Just that 1 level by itself is just a huge push to the pushing power of a Furion with those extra attack speed of all the creeps and as well as your own trees is just a huge bonus. Replika is now going to try and take top tier 1. 3 heroes up. Beastmaster, not a whole lot he can do right now. Sort of just waiting around for the rest of his team to teleport in. But it looks like Replika is going to back off. They can't really try and push too much. They don't have a lot of pushing power, and all their fight really is team fight, except for Leshrac, who is only level 7. He doesn't really have the required levels or gold right now to he just really needs to farm up right now in this solo bottom lane.
Yeah, no, the Replika lineup is definitely much more of the gank push style than the actual push style. They're really out of their element when they just try to group up and push a tower like that because, like you said, other than Leshrac, they don't really have anything. And Leshrac isn't so much of a brute force pusher like a Chen. He more relies on getting the gank, and then when there's no heroes there, he can afterwards do a ton of damage to the tower with Edict, which is what they need to be doing. More so, what they need to be doing is TPing to towers. They've already lost 2 tier 1 towers, which is just basically way too early for a defensive lineup like this. I mean, they should either be ganking or, yeah, like you said, taking advantage of their team fight abilities by TPing in defend towers. And actually, oh wow, I thought Storm might go down there to the Rockets, but the Rockets are, yeah, only level 2. If that was max level Rockets, that probably would have been a kill. But I mean, that's not a criticism of this build, just an unfortunate situation. There was actually one more thing I wanted to bring up about someone's skill build, but I can't remember now, so I don't know, I guess. Oh yeah, the Beastmaster. In general, I liked it. Now he actually does have 3 points in Call of the Wild, so I like it more. I think I would have preferred to see 3 levels in Call of the Wild and 1 in Inner Beast, because like you said, just having that 1 point in Inner Beast I think is enough of a push, and getting that Greater Hawk earlier on is just more valuable for Vision than going 2-2. I think 3-1 would have just been a little better, but by now that's a moot point.
Yeah, especially since they are crushing this game so well. I do agree, though. I think he should have maxed it out. But, man, just Replika is just trying to scrounge up what farm they can. I think the mid game is going to be really their shining moment and where they're going to have to really shut down the other team to just try and end the game. But as it stands right now, that's not going to go very well. I mean, Nature's Prophet almost has the mech. So that's going to be a huge addition to their team fight, a huge counter to what Replika's big strength is, which is team fights, ganking. And on top of that, just the Tinker having come so early, his farm is just going to just skyrocket from here on out. They're going to be able to push towers relatively safely. It just feels like Replika needs a really good team fight to go on, but they don't really have the necessary items. They don't have a Leshrac with a BKB. They don't have Sand King ult, but it looks like they're going to jump on this Beastmaster. He's easily going to go down with a combination of Leshrac and Sand King, and the rest of the team is just going to back off. They're going to sacrifice the Beastmaster. Actually, teleports in. Tinker coming back in. The vacuum goes out, and now Darkseer and Sand King are in huge trouble. Sand King is going to go down to Darkseer as well. Unfortunately, Shadow Demon was not able to save him. Storm Spirit jumping in. They might be able to pick off this Nature's Prophet and at least save this. So a 3-for-3 exchange now. And on top of that, they're not going to be able to push anymore. Replika's just going to be able to back off and farm up even more. So a decent little exchange. I think that really goes in favor of Team Replika, except for the fact that Tinker was able to live, which is really sad because he's going to be able to then teleport to top, teleport to middle, and he's going to be able to get farmed much faster than Storm Spirit or who was the other hero who lived? Was it Darkseer? No, Shadow Demon.
Yeah. Storm Spirit and Shadow Demon. Yeah, that's a very good point, because, you know, at this point in the game, well, generally at this point in the game, when teams are winning team fights, they want to push towers, but I mean, in a stalemate team fight like this, you would at least, yeah, want to be getting farm afterwards, basically, for the heroes that survive. And like you said, Tinker can farm every lane. It's a great thing about this hero, like Furion, that he just makes it so there's never any wasted farm. I mean, we've all had those situations in games where there's just a lane that's kind of getting pushed, and because of the positions that everyone's in, no one can get to that lane right now. But with a Tinker and a Furion, you're never going to miss out on that. You're always going to maximize your farming without even having to take the jungle, obviously. So, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that he lived in that regard. But at the same time, Storm Spirit and Shadow Demon are 2 of the 3 core heroes, basically, for Replika. Well, I mean, technically all of Replika. Oh, and actually, Beastmaster Roar is going to come out on Leshrac. Leshrac is just going to melt here. He doesn't have really any health. Oh, wow, he's actually going to... No, he's definitely going to go down. And the Venomous Gale is going to catch 2 here. We'll see if the Sand King actually, unfortunately, does not have an Epicenter. If he had the Epicenter back up here, this could have been a lot different. Earthshaker going to come in with his ult, and wow, that's just going to be 3 of Replika dead. Sand King might make it out. Yeah, it looks like he's probably going to. There's not going to be anything to catch him, but that's really unfortunate there. I thought that the Sand King would have an Epicenter after he stunned in there, and it could have been really good, because like I was talking about earlier, the lack of stuns and disables out of 404, but lacking the Epicenter there was really an unfortunate turning point in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really just can't allow yourself to get caught like that. I know I thought he was hiding in the jungle, hoping to be able to get up some sort of pick-off, but you know they have Beastmaster, and on top of that, we haven't talked about this yet, but of course, Tinker, with the TP boots, is going to be able to teleport to wherever Beastmaster is, pretty much, at any point, because he's able to teleport both to the Hawk and to the Boar. And so that just adds so much more, because wherever the Hawk is going to be able to spy you out, and then on top of that, a Tinker is just going to drop right on top of you. So you really can't be trying to hide in these special little places in the jungle. You just have to just sit behind your tower and force Darkseer to pretty much Ion Shell and Vacuum and just push back these waves as much as possible. They can't allow themselves to get caught, because they do have, at least they have, you know, a Darkseer, and at least they have a Storm Spirit being able to jump on heroes who are out of place. I mean, they do have at least some semblance of turtling power, and they really need to maximize that and just not allow themselves to get caught. They just need to sit behind towers where they're safe and not try and do anything fancy.
Yeah, another unfortunate, well, the Tinker does have his 4-staff finished, which isn't a huge pickup. I mean, it's just a nice kind of luxury item to have on him, basically. Well, not luxury item, because it's a core item, but it's very luxurious to have. But unfortunately, the Beastmaster is actually getting quite close to finishing a pipe, which is going to really spell a problem for Replika's team, especially when, you know, your Sand King is still only level 7, so he's a long way off from that level 2 Epicenter, which is one of the abilities you would have to rely on to turn around team fights. Storm actually going to be able to jump on the Beastmaster here, but the TPs are going to come in from 404. easily in time. Epicenter is going to be enough to take out the Beastmaster, but it doesn't really matter. There's already 2 dead, despite getting a ton of abilities off in the Beastmaster. The problem is the Beastmaster, even though he doesn't have the pipe, does have the hood, which just meant he was very difficult to take out. And yeah, anytime there's even a gank-ish sort of thing like that, immediately you're going to have that Tinker and Furion TPing in, which is going to turn everything into +2, which is just showing the power of that global strategy. And again, why I really feel like Replika should just ban the Furion. I mean, that's not the game-deciding thing at this point, but it certainly would have made a difference, although hindsight is, of course, 2020. But I said it at the time, too, so it's not completely hindsight.
Well, that is true. It looks like we're going to see a Haste being picked up, as well as Django's now on Venomancer. So even their supports are picking up some nice little team fight items, and I like the items they're picking up. Of course, like you said, Force Staff is sort of a key item on Tinker. Not a whole lot of people don't go Force Staffs on him because he's so good, but it's just so crucial against these ganking. I mean, Storm Spirit was expected, at least in my mind, when he's solo mid, he's able to pick up those levels. He should have been able to just shut down this Tinker whenever he goes, and, you know, 50-50 chance he's going to be in the right position when Tinker goes and teleports to bottom or teleports to top. He's going to be in the right position to be able to leap in and gank him. And now with that extra Force Staff, it's just that little extra bit amount of power that he's going to be able to dodge ganks with. And it's just, I don't know, it's so hurtful. I mean, Storm Spirit has hardly any mana. I don't know. What do you think about this build from him? It's a very, very squishy build. Looks like he's going to actually go down here because he's so squishy. Now a Blink Dagger on Earthshaker, easily crushing him. Shatter Demon is now coming in here, but that's a huge problem because now there's now 4 heroes. He disrupts himself to try and dodge the rocket. It doesn't go off. And now on top of that, he's in a terrible position. He's easily going to go down here. And the rest of his team now coming in, trying to save him. Sanking, it's a 3-man stun, but no ult to follow up now. And the rest of the Replika team, it might go down here. Darkseer throws up the wall, but Leshrac is easily going to get caught out here. Oh man, even the ult comes out from Earthshaker to stop the Darkseer from hasting away. And the only hero who lives through that team fight is Sanking.
Yeah, Sanking's been surviving through a couple team fights, so at least that's fortunate for him, but again, it doesn't really matter when you're down 21-7, and if we look at the gold graph, I think after that fight and this ensuing tower, it should probably be close to a 10,000 difference, which is pretty significant at 20 minutes in. Oh, and actually the GGs are going to come out, but yeah, I was going to say I don't... the Storm Spirit build made a little bit of sense because you wanted to silence the Tinker, who is such a spell-dependent hero, so going for a fast Orchid, I guess, would be helpful, but yeah, you're right, it just made him a little bit too squishy. He should have probably at least turned a couple of those mantles into nulls or something like that once he got such bad farm. But yeah, I guess those GGs will signify the end of this game. Replika's already left, so we'll see the Ancient self-destruct in a few seconds and get him move on to the next game.
Yeah, I believe we're going to go on straight into the finals. I believe that's what's scheduled. Unfortunately, I haven't had a whole lot of contact with the admin, and I'm only friends with the Replika team. I'm not friends with any of these guys, so we'll have to make some buddies in order to follow the finals. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're going to go talk to the admins, talk to the teams, and we'll try and get it into a game and have it up very, very shortly.